Hello, Kitty. Hello, Flo.
Hello, Stuart.
Yeah, some serious stuff in the newspapers, though. A lot of the papers still focusing on the victims of last week's brutal gun attack on the university in Kenya, aren't they?
That's right. Last night, a ceremony was held in Nairobi to remember the victims of the Al-Shabaab attack that stunned the nation. Now, The Guardian is focusing on how people are taking to social media to commemorate those who died and humanize them by sharing their stories. You can see this headline here. It says hashtag 147, so the number of victims, perhaps there are a few more than that, but that's the number that is really stuck with the media. So hashtag 147, not just a number. Now, people are using this hashtag as well as the hashtag they have names to talk about the victims, to honor their lives by sharing their photo, their name, and something about them. I took out one example. This is a tweet about one of the victims, Selfer Wendida. You can see her here, 21 years old, and in this tweet you can also see her dream was to be a teacher. Now, there's so many of these tweets, and each one paints really a powerful and a painful portrait of loss.
And you found an Algerian cartoonist as well who's taken to social media to pay tributes to the victims.
That's right. This is Dilem, quite a famous Algerian cartoonist. He pays tribute to the victims, and also he lashes out against a certain indifference coming from the international community. You can see here an Islamist scratching his head, saying, if you break one statue, the whole world reacts. Now, if you massacre 147 students, nobody cares. Now, this is a reference, of course, to the destruction of artifacts in Syria. This caused outrage across the world, but it's true that the coverage of the Kenya massacre has been lacking in many media. There's another article in Libération that focuses on this. Here in France, the Kenya attack was barely a top story on several news channels and was quickly overshadowed by other news. And Libération says it's really hard not to compare what happened in the wake of the Charlie Hebdo attacks here in Paris in January. The whole world took to the streets to support the victims of that attack. And so you can see this headline here. It says, "Are Kenyans condemned to die in indifference?"
Okay, interesting headline. Now, we're going to move to Malaysia now. Papers there reacting to the passing of a controversial anti-terrorism bill.
That's right. This is the Prevention of Terrorism Act, and it is controversial because it reintroduces arbitrary and indefinite detention without trial. Now, the government says it's needed to tackle the threat of Islamic extremists, but you can see here this analysis piece in The Guardian by Simon Tisdall. He says it's undemocratic, a step backwards, and another blow to human rights in the region. This is getting a lot of attention in the Malaysian press, as well as you can imagine. The Star, one of the main papers in Malaysia, is actually focusing on another debate that's also happening right now in Parliament. This is about an amendment to the Sedition Act. Now, this amendment proposes to allow people to criticize the government and the administration, but another change is that it will deny bail and do away with fines, replacing them with jail terms instead. So you can see the headline. It says, "No fine, just jail." Now, critics are crying foul here and saying this, too, is a blow to human rights.
Going to go stateside now with this next story. Lots of focus on South Carolina. The story we've been bringing you this morning, the white police officer being charged with murder in the fatal shooting of an unarmed black man.
That's right. Now, of course, this is getting a lot of attention because a video emerged. We've been showing it here on France 24, where you can see a 33-year-old Michael Slager shooting down this black man and apparently killing him. So this is 50-year-old Walter Scott. Now, this is a developing story that's getting a lot of attention in the American press. I pulled out one article from the Daily Beast, which points out that this is a very familiar story. The shooting comes on the heels of other high-profile instances of white police officers using lethal force against unarmed black men. Of course, we were talking a lot about Ferguson, Missouri, of course, Staten Island. What's different about this case, and the Daily Beast points it out, is that the police officer was immediately charged with murder. But still, you can see the headline here. It says, "Walter Scott's killing is every black nightmare about white cops." And this article says that there is still very much needed a national debate about police brutality, especially police brutality that targets black men.
And finally, Flo's got a quick word about British politics. Yesterday, the former Prime Minister Tony Blair, he entered the UK election fray by attacking Prime Minister David Cameron's pledge to hold a referendum on Britain's EU membership.
That's right. You can get all the details of that in the Wall Street Journal. This article talks about how he blasted Cameron over that EU referendum, saying that it would cause economic chaos. Now, I pulled out a cartoon from The Independent where you can see Tony Blair coming back, the ghost of elections past, and a very scared-looking Ed Miliband and David Cameron there, both thinking he's come back to haunt me. Now, the editorial in The Guardian applauds Tony Blair, says, "Don't shoot the messenger." Sure, Tony Blair has drawn a lot of criticism, including from within the Labour Party about things he did in Iraq, etc. But he might be wrong about many things, but he is right about Britain's place in Europe, so don't shoot the messenger.
Okay, Flo, not shooting the messenger at the end of the newspaper review. Yeah, thanks a lot.